Very much.
Okay. Well, I want to welcome everybody to the fine city of Westover.
Sir, I'm Barry Wendell,
I'm Janice Goodwin, council in Westover.
council.
You know everybody else?
Just go ahead and go around.
All right, I'm Dave Johnson, the mayor of Westover.
Sean Sikora, Monongalia County Commission.
Tom Bloom, Commission.
Ed Hawkins, Monongalia County Commission.
Joe Stadler, Delegate.
Ron Lytle, School Board.
You know me.
Barry Wendell, Morgantown Council.
Mark Rositis, Deputy Mayor, Morgantown.
What we usually do in these meetings, we usually talk a little bit about whoever's hosting the meeting. Since it's us, I'll give you guys a little update on what's been going on in Westover here lately. You may or may not have seen some of the articles in the newspaper. We're doing a lot of work in the park. And thanks to the levy that it's enabled us to do something. We get there, our hotel motel tax, it helps as well. So we tore down the pavilion, rear pavilion, been there for years. We're going to take the stage down. We haven't taken that down yet. We weren't able to do that. We didn't have the machinery to do that. Got a guy that's coming, going to take that down as soon as the weather allows it, obviously. We're going to, not this year, but next year, we're going to add another field to the park because the kids have just been, I think they had over 700 kids signed up for baseball last year. And just 3 years ago, just to put it in perspective, 3 years ago, we were to the point that I told Jamby and Gary Kane that if we didn't get some baseball going there, that I was going to have to find something else to do with the park. It's the last thing we wanted to do, but they got busy and they've got all the fields full. They go from the T-ball up to the 12-year-olds. No Babe Ruth. The older kids go somewhere else and play. And what they've done with that, they've actually done a good thing with it, because one of the reasons that the baseball was as bad as it was in the park, weren't having the teams or the organization, was that everything these days, the kids play on what they call traveling leagues. So they got all-star kids and they travel all over the place. And it's hurt the other leagues because you get your average kids that don't play as well as some of the other kids. So what they've done, and they've done a real good thing with this, they make sure that no team is loaded. Everything is fair. They have you might have 2 A-League players and the rest whatever, but they make sure there's no unfair advantage with it. Done a great job with it. I mean, they've done a great job with it. They've done a lot of work. They do a lot of work. The city's done a lot of work. We've built an extra bathroom down there. We're remodeling the bathrooms that we have. Like I said, we're going to make the rear pavilion property is going to be parking, because parking's been a real big issue down there. You've got that many people coming. They just, they were filling the Big Lots parking lot up, and it still probably won't have enough parking, but we'll have a lot more. We got the roof on the bocce ball court, and it's metal roof, and we did it in the Italian colors. We got green on one side, red on the other, and we got the white and trim and stuff. Did a great job on it. I mean, it's really nice. We're going to put another bathroom by it. We're going to take half of the tennis court and make a
Paddleball?
no, what's the one pickleball.
Pickleball. Yeah.
We'll leave one, because we have two regulation size courts, and you can put 2 pickleball courts on one regulation size. So that's how we're going to start it this year. We're going to put the 2 in, and if we don't get any activity on the regular, because we're guaranteed we're going to get activity on some of these pickleball people. And the bocce has really done well. I mean, these guys are playing. They play 3 days a week. They're going to be in a league this year. They've got a nice facility now. We put new surface in it, put the roof on it. So we've done a lot of things with the park. And like I said, and a lot of it's been we get $40,000 a year from the levy money. And we've done well with that. We have an ordinance that's probably going to affect some of the people in this room. That's going to go into effect for this year's election. Sean felt it last year the last election. What we did the last 2 years ago, we took all the signs down, because a lot of people leave their signs up and they end up staying. Barbara Fleshour's sign was down by the interstate, but it was back in the little thing. It lasted 2 elections, so we never took it down at all. But anyhow, we're passing. We have a first reading. We have a second reading next week. And we're going to give everybody until 7 o'clock on Monday morning, the week after the election, to have their signs down. If they don't, we're going to take them to the garage. Now, we're not going to destroy them at first, but we're not going to keep them for months.
Right.
So if somebody does have a sign up that they didn't get to, they'll still have an opportunity to come and get it, but we just don't want it, staying up for weeks at a time, because it's, it goes against what we do over here. We work every day trying to keep the city clean. And we have the advantage over, like the city of Morgantown, but we're small. So it's a lot easier task for us than it would be for you guys. And
That was a pretty nice service you provided, because the day after your election, me and Jeff Berryman were right around picking up our signs, there was none in Westover. We'd already picked them up and stacked them at the garage,
I
so.
did it on purpose, but I didn't know who he was. I wanted to
City Hall.
Yeah, they
Come on over to Morgantown with that deal, I like that,
Yeah,
yeah.
they did sit in front of City Hall for a long time.
But
He
I think
was
it's, I think
cleaning out there
it's a good thing,
Yeah.
because like I say, it's a lot of people in, and probably nobody in this room, but a lot of people would, because you were there that day to get them, you know, but a lot of people just leave them, and they don't come back to get them. Especially the ones that lose, they say, the hell with it, I went and signed it, didn't do me any good anyhow, I'm just gonna leave.
Well, I think
leave
the
it to
biggest
somebody
problem
else to
is
deal with it.
there are a lot of times handed out to individuals that are careless with them. In other words,
Yeah.
I've always
Yeah.
told people that if they want a sign, ask me, because I value putting it in your yard.
Right.
I don't care about, I don't want my signs, and never have wanted my signs out at an intersection where there was a bunch of other signs.
Well, you're one of the few.
I don't
for
care
sure.
about that. Well, I mean, the value is, it's in your yard.
We
The way I
took, we
look
took
at
a
it.
Bloom sign down the other day, there was already one up out at the end of the Rouse Drive.
Yeah.
Yeah, we took it down. I didn't see the little, it's like $5 a sign over the restaurant. That's cash, you gotta get.
Actually, I was using it because where everyone had to turn, they didn't know where our pantry was.
Yeah.
So I
saw
had
you
to
down
say,
there that day.
yes, I had to
Saw
put
you
the
and Jan
sign there
standing
to
talking
tell
when I was leaving the park
Yeah.
there, yeah. And the only other thing we're gonna do with the park, I forgot about that, we're going to, Janice, we spoke about the last council meeting, we budget every year for paving projects. And I think what we're gonna do this year, we're gonna go a little stronger with the paving project, we're gonna go to 300,000, but we wanna cut that in half and finish what we need to do in the park.
Oh.
But we got some pretty bad roads in the park, but we didn't fix them last year because we had a lot of trucks coming in and out, doing different things. We want to make sure we got all the heavy work done before we do that, so it doesn't destroy, what we put down. So that's the only other thing in the park. And the other thing with us right now, the big thing with us right now is the annexation of the West Ridge. I spoke to John today, I've been in good contact with him. We have a great working relationship, so it's going to be just a little shy of 1,000 acres. And we're going to do it by the petition. And the only reason we haven't done it yet is because of John's still trying to buy a couple of the larger parcels in there, and I think the way he talked today, he's going to have that pretty well sewed up. And it's pretty exciting because there's going to be a lot of stuff in there. There'll be a lot of it that won't be developable, but some of the areas we're planning on making maybe a park there or do something with it that, some interest. Now we have, it won't be all retail, so it's not going to be a home run, so to speak, with the B&O, but it will have substantial B&O. We're looking for probably another $1 million a year once it's all done and up and running. So that's going to help us a lot. And we'll have some of the areas are going to be used or designated for some family, some housing up back and away. Like I said, there's almost 1,000 acres here. It's a big area. And we're keeping a close eye on what you guys are doing over there too, because if you guys are successful, we're going to make this annexation a lot easier than what it is. These guys are tough, these three right here. Oh boy, I'm telling you.
Keep in mind, you're talking about the unusable area too. Are you familiar with the Mountaineer Trail Network?
Yeah, I've talked to Jason about that. We spoke about that.
Areas like that are prime.
Hey, Ron.
Yes, sir.
Prime for,
Yeah.
incorporating into that system.
Just bring up a chair.
And all the roads that are going to be on the west side are going to be, they're going to have the bicycle lanes,
Right.
and all that. It's going to be something to see. They're going to do a great job with that. And the weather hasn't been. Hey, Ron, how you doing, boy?
Good, how you doing?
Last time I saw you, had a beer in your hand.
I know, you too.
I did too. My wife was there, and I had the three of them. I had one head because she only gave me two.
Past, present, and future.
But yeah, we're excited about that. As long as we can work out a good deal that's good for both of us, then we've had a couple of meetings that I wasn't real happy with. I walked away from one, but John's a great guy to deal with. He's a man of his word, and that's the easy way to do the annexation. Sometimes it can be tough. I mean, we fought a battle royale over the mall. That was a long, drawn-out process.
Who's John?
Pardon?
Who's John?
John Lynch.
John Lynch, he's the one that has the property, yeah.
I do have one question, since you're talking about more property annexation, we really got to keep an eye out for school property.
For school, for extra school property?
For potential another high school on that side of the interstate.
And that would be a good set
They put
aside.
that little thing on that school property, does it say tax exempt on that?
Yes, it can be right at the border if that's what you want. We'll finish it.
Tuck you in somewhere?
Yeah, it would be, just keep an eye out for that, because the school system and future taxpayers, I mean, you're talking huge. If we wait till the last people in, then we're paying, hundreds of thousands of dollars an acre instead of buying a farm at this point for a lot less. So,
There's gonna be, there's already a lot of, there's already a lot of it that's set up or dedicated to certain things, especially the retail, which is gonna be mainly around the new exit.
Right.
But as you spread back and go back, like behind the FedEx building, there's a 800-acre pad up there, or the potential for 80 acres, I'm sorry, not 800.
let's say 800 doesn't sit, boy,
Yeah, that
that's
takes it
big.
all up,
Yeah.
yeah.
But if we can start thinking now, and I won't be around when this happens, when the new school happens, it's not gonna happen soon.
How many acres?
But when you start, we need 50, 60 acres.
50 to 60.
For a
People-
school. I think Mercy High School's on 55 acres, 60 acre, is that right?
97.
90, well, it's a lot of that.
But a lot of us.
Yeah.
But I think we need 50 to 60 acres for high school.
Yeah.
And if the expansion happens, that's anticipated, it's gonna become a necessity, because we're gonna overrun the two that we have in the city, and then, obviously, we have the third in Clay Patel, but
We'll
we
definitely
really
keep that in
gotta,
mind, that's,
really gotta look at catching that before it becomes a
because
tax.
that feeds everything, you got people coming in and out.
Oh, yes.
We've got gas stations,
That's
we
why
have
people-
hotels, we
that's
got
why people come to our county.
restaurants, fast food and all that, so it's, if you get the people there,
And
that's.
that could be worked into that park area.
They come to our county hall or the schools.
The recreation, the school, the parks, the trails, the fitness area, all that stuff can be worked into. If you get down to Baltimore County, northern Baltimore, you have development, huge set aside. Development, the huge set aside, and it becomes a beautiful space. And it's even Florida, in Orlando area now, that's what they're doing. So we need to have that kind of vision, because I'm speaking for myself as a taxpayer, and I'm also speaking, even as the B&O taxes go away, we're still talking, if we have to end up with $4 or $5 million in property, that'd be a problem. And I do want to tell you something else. I was sitting in Pittsburgh, it was last Friday night, two MDs and a financial guy, and they said about going to Morgantown to play ball. And I said, there's a bunch of different parks, and they kept telling me about this nice park. And I said, well, it's up Mile Park, and they said, no, that isn't right, I remember that. It was Westover last year. So the people from Pittsburgh, and it's Peters Township, and they know what nice places are.
Well,
They were talking.
We've had a couple of tournaments last season, excuse me, that they had teams from all up and down the East Coast came. So that brings, that fills the hotels up, that puts the restaurants up, so it's great. I can't tell you how happy I am that baseball did what it did, because it was just to the point where, like I said earlier, we were gonna look for something else to do down there. Because, we were renting the fields out for practices, and we had soccer people coming in, which was okay. They were leasing it and they were taking care of it, but it just wasn't, I played ball there when I was a kid, so it just wasn't what it should have been. But it is now, and they've done a fantastic job with it. And I told Gary today, I said, Gary, he said, we might have over 700 this year. I said, well, where are we gonna put them? It's like he's opened the door and everybody comes, which is great, but it's going to get to the point. That's why I say we plan to build the new field this year, but we had some bad information on the water line, and it was the old AC water line, the asbestos, whatever, and it would have cost so much money to try to move that. So we've changed plans, but we're not going to be able to do that or fulfill that this year. But I got some aerial maps from Mike Paul, and we're going to look at that and try to figure out where we can put this new field, because the new field that we were going to do, we were going to take the T-ball field and make it the same size as the 8Us, which would be like 150 feet, from home plate to center field, and make it a multi-purpose field. Bring it in, bases in for the little guys who are playing T-ball, and when they're done, then take that away and let the 8Us play. And we still plan on doing that. So that'll help a lot. Another field, actually you're getting two fields for one there, so we'll have two T-ball fields, two 8Us, and then the 10s and the 12-year-olds. But they've got, the word's getting around, and they have gotten credited with, they've joined the Amateur Association or whatever that's called. I'm not exactly sure what the proper name for that is, but it's recognized throughout the country. So they're part of that too. So they're in the infields. We paid so much for this dirt, you wouldn't believe. I still can't believe I did this, but it's the same stuff that they put on like PNC Park. the
That's
Pirates
the same
play on.
guys did our softball field at St.
It's
Francis.
same
We use
stuff.
it,
It's-
we've used it at Camp Muffley.
Now
We
they
know how much it costs.
Now they got spots up the town.
Yeah.
That's one on there.
You know,
It's now more.
something about Baltimore County, going back 65 years though, but when I was a wee child, my parents bought a house in Baltimore County, and the developer said, we left them a space for an elementary school walking distance away, a block and a half away. And that's why my parents bought that house. Because they knew by the time I was in first grade, there was gonna be a school there with ball fields and stuff. And if you're gonna build houses and you want families to move there, if you tell them there's gonna be a school around the corner, that's gonna sell your house.
Yeah.
Accessibility, that's a big thing. And like you said, that's a good point, because you leave that for the plan for the future, because then, everything grows, everything changes over the years, In a decade's time, I've been mayor now for, 10 years at the end of June, and we've seen a lot of things change here. A lot of things.
Yeah, to hit Ronnie's point, how much easier would it have been 10 years ago when you're talking to developers about a TIF district and putting stuff in to say, okay, you gotta set aside 20 acres. They said, no problem.
Right.
It was an old strip mine. Now when those acres are going $400,000 an acre, they're not that interested.
More than that,
Yeah.
some places,
I always said when you have a pot of gold and you hand it to someone, they're not gonna give you a handful back. If you take a handful out and you offer them the rest of the pot, they'll take it half. But they're never gonna, after they got it, you're not gonna get a handful back. And that's just economics, that's just the way it works. But I'm not judging someone based on that, but that's just the way it happens. I mean, yeah, we'll help you, we'll do the city, we'll do the TIF district, we'll do the roads to get there, but when we get there, we want some future tax savings pretty much for the citizens of Long County.
That's
Yeah,
one
maybe
thing I
not.
won't forget. I forget everything else, but I'll remember that.
And yeah, maybe non-taxable, but property values in that area are
Well,
go up
increased.
because-
And if you
Like
need
I said, it brings
if you need to
people
be able to
into
talk
this.
about it, just tell them it's for the kids.
Oh, yeah.
Look what they did
That's what they
in
said.
Palms
That's
Ferry. They got rid of a trailer court and put a beautiful school back there, and our property values are all going up.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Boy, am I getting beat up. I'm constantly beat up about that.
Hey, by the way, Ronnie just came in. He's a city councilman in Morgantown, too.
Yeah.
What was the last name? I never came.
Delaney.
Delaney.
I knew it. Yeah, I'll remember what you said, but I forgot his name. Okay, that's about all I have. Janice, do you have anything to add about the?
No, I think we're just moving right along, trying to keep up.
Yeah,
with everything.
We've done well. We've worked for it, but, we've done well. We've
I
had
think
help
our
with the county.
recreation group is phenomenal. And we're lucky to have Gary and his son-in-law. And
Yes.
I saw him at John Eagle one Sunday morning, and he told me, we have 600 kids signed up already. And I said, and I hope you get 1,000. And he goes, oh my God, don't say
I'll
it.
shoot for it.
But
But
yeah.
that's, we've been real happy with what we've been able to do. We knew going in that in order for us to provide the services that are necessary to run a city, that we had to do some things. We had to increase our budget, and that came through annexation. We had to, do a different type. We've done, well, both ways. There's three ways of doing it, but the election is pretty much, it's close to the petition process as well, but the minor boundary obviously has to go through the county commission. We went all the way to Supreme Court with it. They appealed it all the way to the Supreme Court, and so it was a long fight. It wasn't as expensive as one might think. We had a good bit of money in it, but our first quarter of B&O more than covered that, and that B&O is going to go on forever. So it was money well spent, and the effort was well worth it. And good luck to you guys. Absolutely. Good
Well,
luck
we're
to you
looking
guys.
at you as a model, so thanks for leading the way.
Well, you got good people working. You got Ronnie and Stranko, and they know the ropes. We couldn't have done it without them for sure. I mean, it's worth going after. And if things change, the code itself, is it the best code? No, by a long shot. But it's the only tool we had to work with. So we had to make the best of what we had. I think the problem, I know the problem, one of the biggest problem in West Virginia is the majority of the state has a rural mentality. And it's the cities don't get a lot of help from the legislators or, the people that want to change. A lot of them do want to change, but that's always been an issue. Some states, they allow the cities to do their own annexations, which that's not without, that could happen here as well, but some states that can annex in, they have laws that if you require any service at all from a municipality, you have to participate in that municipality. If the municipality wants you, I mean, because not everything is annexable. You don't want to take, like the industrial plant down here. People's asked us several times why we don't go after that. Well, we don't know what kind of contamination's down here. We might get the liability from hell. We just don't know that. But that's where a lot of states are. But in this state, the mall, they didn't build that mall right there. They had a reason for doing it right there. The interstate's here. The people with the population, the density of the population's here. Everybody's going to support the businesses in that mall, and then that's what's happened over the last 20-some years. If they didn't care about that, would they build it out by the Indian Creek Road somewhere? They're not going to do that. They stepped across the line. So there's several states in the country that if you do step across that line, that's fine. But if you need sewage, you need water, you need anything else, because they won't let you, the Public Service Commission won't let you use sewage as a tool, and they don't have to always know about everything, you know what I mean? But it's just, you shouldn't have to, they should be more open with that kind of stuff, and they should make it easier for municipalities. Because I'm a firm believer, I've believed this for a long time, that stronger cities make stronger counties, and stronger counties make for a stronger state. I mean, it works that way.
That argument in the Charleston Gazette the other day, so absolutely. And we've been watching you closely, and we appreciate what you're doing.
We're not proud. You're not supposed to be proud of anything you do, but we're satisfied, and we're happy with what we have now. Obviously, when and if we get to West Ridge, I might be able to retire. There will be a whole lot left to do. I've got everything I've pretty much annexed around us, so there won't be a whole lot of picking.
We'll draft you over in Morgantown.
There you go. There you go. But that's all I have to say. And this next one, I'm going to leave to Tom and
Well, and Joe,
yeah.
The Senate Bill 275 at 1107.
Well, let me say this.
Yeah.
I'm not real happy with it, so I'm going to let you guys, because you stole that money off of Granville and Star City. Now, you didn't get any off of us, but you took them guys out.
Well, we took it out of everyone, basically. We
don't know.
We corrected the mistake. We'll find out. Basically, and Joe can chime in at 1107. I got a note from Joe that, I can't say enough about,
Yes.
Joe
Yeah, I was gonna take one down.
getting it involved and pushing it through and clarifying it. But basically, 275, I call it the alcohol clarification bill. That's the easiest way to explain it. That now, if you sell alcohol within a city, the municipality gets it, you get it. If the county sells it, they get it. But the more important part is the information that we weren't allowed to get before. So now what happens is the county can now go find out if the money is really going to the correct places, and the city can find out what is involved with the county, but the city's not allowed to find out what another city's doing. But you're allowed to find out the overall amount. And what we're hoping to do is go back 5 years, we're gonna hope, and find out where the $500,000 went. And we believe it's more than that for these past 4 years. And the thing is, we don't believe all the money is in this county. We believe it's among us all. We're hoping to get that money infused back into
Yeah, this isn't a county issue, this is county all of us collective.
Yes.
Because I showed the information to the auditor, and he had the same thinking. He sent me an email back and says, I'll go downstairs right now and talk to them.
Yeah, well,
Didn't say anything for 2 weeks till he came up here and he said, by the way, we hit a stone wall. And his tax department won't talk to the auditor. But he goes, once they pass that law, they'll have to talk to us. He goes, but I bet you, they owe you guys. And I'm gonna say, you guys, the city, the county, everybody, $2 million.
Yeah.
I mean, I just showed him the facts. You just straight line the growth in alcohol sales, and you can't explain where that money went to. So we know something happened, and I'll speak for myself, we don't care where it goes.
Right.
We just want to fix it because the state had shorted all of us, one way or the other.
And it's not just our county, we're getting calls from every county now saying, okay, what are we going to do and how are we going to do it? Well, we got a call from Star City and they wanted to know the process. Because Granville went through the process and found out, $30,000 more a quarter that they were being shorted. And so I think what's going to happen is it's going to open up this information, and I think that's key. We're also, and that's a lead in to the second thing before I come back, which is the West Virginia checkbook that I asked Sean to talk about. We had our meeting again today, and you might want to just explain what's going on.
Open, it's the company that does this, that the auditor's office had contracted with is called OpenGov. They do these all over the country. The most visible example is Ohio Checkbook. Just Google Ohio Checkbook. You go there and you can see what every penny that's spent at the state level, at the municipality level, at the county level, at the school board level, and it's just open and transparent for anybody to go in and ask that information. Talk about at the state level, they spend a lot of time answering FOA requests. Well, now people can just go there. You can go to this website, but it's pretty impressive, and there's different levels of participation. But what the auditor's office had done is when they set this up, and this was one of JB's McCuskey's goal when he ran for this office, and he told us that the first time we met with him about two weeks after he was in office, and he says, I want to do this open checkbook thing, and we're like, yeah, okay. And then he came to our West Virginia Association of Counties conference and said, he had just dropped the site and it was open, and he came to talk about it, and he goes, and if anybody wants to, me to come to your county, I'd like to do that. And we said, come on up. So we're the first county they actually came up and talked to. We're the first county that's going to start and actually participate in the program, and we're hoping that's going to grow. Ronnie talked with him about getting the auditor in front of one of your training sessions where you have all the 55 superintendents, and they're going to talk to the school board about doing it. But it's a great thing, and it gives you, and again, there's all levels of tools. There's just the transparency awareness level where people can go and see the information, and then depending on what your municipality, what type of tools you have to run reports and stuff, it's also a utility that allows you to do a lot of your budgeting, because the information's all there. There's no duplication. You don't have to recreate the wheel. The information's all there. All they do is set up an initial download that you just do regularly, and you pick how often you want to do it. You can do it daily, automatically. You can do it weekly, monthly. But we're dipping our toe in the water, and we're going to start the process, and hopefully, we don't know where it's going to take us, but we've got our county clerk and our tax office are both want to do this, want us to participate, and I think we're going to be an example to the whole state in being first county to be in this system. And again, as this grows, I'd like to see municipalities get involved. I'd like to see the school board get involved, but that'll be up to them. I mean, when you see what it can do, and you can go out and see at the state level, and they actually did a perfect example is they did the Supreme Court's budget and spending and all that stuff. So if you go to transparency.wv.gov, you can go see the West Virginia version and go out and take a look at it and nose around and see what it can do. But you can go out and do a search on commodities. So you want to know, okay, so what is Mon County spending on buildings, or what are we spending on computers, or what are we spending on? If you're a vendor, you're an individual that sells those services, and you want to know what we're actually spending on, you just go look. It's there. So
it's good for everybody then.
It is. It's really neat. I think accountability and being very transparent. Two other quick things. One, I wanted to thank you. A lot of you all don't know, but Chief Panico called me and mentioned the idea for the food with all the food drives that we've been doing and the Pantry Plus more. He came up with an idea that when minor infractions happen, say $25, $40 fines, he was giving the family, the opportunity, instead of paying the $50 fine, $25 to go to the Pantry Plus More program. And it's already started doing it to Empty Bowls and the Pantry Plus More. It's just something I want to throw out. It's just a neat idea. The parents loved it, if it was a minor, and they knew where the money was going, and they felt good about it. So that was just something that, I really want to thank Chief Panico on.
They actually had, we lowered the fine from $50 to $25, and the kid has to write an essay.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Saying why, what happened, what they did, and why they got in this trouble. Most of it's tobacco.
Yeah.
They got snuff, or they got cigarettes, or whatever they have. That's the biggest thing that we've come across with the SRO officer. But we had one lady that She didn't want her kid to write an essay, she didn't want to pay $25. She brought the kid up, and made him work, so we made him clean police cars. So he was scared to death. Yeah, it's a good thing for everybody, actually, because we can afford to do that on our end, plus it's helping somebody else, and it's giving a little discipline to the kid as well, you know what I mean? So it's a good deal.
The only other issue I passed out, and this was set up by Rob Alsop, which is the discussion on crosswalks and pedestrian safety. And it was really the who's who of Morgantown, Monongalia County. And as I had asked, I said, look, I'm not going to go to another meeting to have a meeting. And I think we're all in agreement. In several more weeks, we're going to come back. We're going to take a half day. We're going to come, like you called it, was like employment, empowerment, efficiency. There were like 4 different things that we'll look at. We're going to choose like 3 to 5 areas where there's a problem, and we're going to deal with it and see what happens, because we had so many different ideas and so many suggestions that we needed to get everyone together, and we're going to bring somebody in who's a coordinator specifically to work on getting our ideas to do something. One of the ideas that, like we were saying, was education. WV was really into this, because we were saying, for example, when I went to Shepherdstown and I tried to cross the street, my daughter grabbed me and said, "You don't cross the street here, you're going to get a ticket." So we had to walk to the crosswalk. We walked to the crosswalk and every car stopped. So it was a change of attitude that it was so simple. I mean, she knew not to do that and I didn't do it. So when you go there, so that's the kind of things we were looking at. The other thing we were talking about, just alertness. One idea that people were coming up with is that they were looking at saying, they had people, the one city had a thing, look to the right, and it was in Europe, because everyone always looks to the left, but the cars come from the right in Europe. So it could be something like, look both ways before you cross. So it was just a whole bunch of different ideas, and I just really think that, it's a really neat idea. I think everyone wants to do something. We're quite worried about the safety, and we use the Morgantown WV because WV started, but it's something that we could look countywide. It's just something we'll look at. So those were just the big issues that we had. I don't know if you had anything else, Ed, that...
In particular to the intersection, that critical intersection over there by the rec center, I noticed the city has been parking unmarked on the corner of Patterson and Baldwin there in the mornings, which I think has helped people slow down a little bit.
One of the ideas was to not have the person crossing at the same time a car is turning left, and the DOH was there and said, so let me explain the problem with that. Then it backs up the cars and the traffic, and then it becomes a bigger problem, because then the person tries to drive faster through it so he doesn't get stuck. So it's a neat idea, but there was a lot of ideas, and hopefully, we'll come up with some good ones there, and we'll move on.
The biggest problem is everybody's in a hurry.
Right.
Everybody's...
Or you have your headphones on, you're not watching.
And they're not paying attention.
Yeah.
Or somebody's driving and texting at the same time.
Well, the other thing that I said that a lot of people didn't realize is, people forget, Morgantown's not a big city, but there are people who come from a small city that they just cross the street anywhere, anytime.
Yeah.
So they're not even thinking about that. So they just think they're back in that small town. So it's just a whole education and whole process. So it was really good, and I hope that, we continue it.
The traffic patterns don't really make sense.
Yeah, well.
I learned to drive here. A lot of us grew up here, but the fact that, the way that things aren't exactly the easiest place to.
By wings, where it's
Or
2
even,
to
yeah,
1.
or even
I mean,
change.
Yeah.
I have nothing.
I'll tell you what won't
Yeah.
work,
Good.
is another sign. A flashing sign or a big giant yellow sign, go down High Street, and that big sign. You can stop at a crosswalk, and people start walking, and cars don't stop.
They still don't?
They don't stop
I
at
agree
that
with you.
crosswalk, period, and that big yellow sign don't do it, give it a go.
Well, the ones up at the
Makes you
town
sick
center
when
are
you see something.
effective.
Yeah, but not the ones
Those
down on
LED
High
lights that
Street.
are
I agree.
flashing, they catch your
Don't get
eye.
enough of them, they won't.
Well, one of the other problems was, they asked that we may want to consider going to the judge to talk to the magistrates who are letting those tickets and letting them free, and saying, this is going to be a community effort. If you're going to get a jaywalk, we're going to have the police to do this, then we would like, that's all you can ask, the magistrate to uphold it. So this is something, like we said, it's a whole attitude. You're right. I don't trust any car till I see him stop.
Well, and then I think people assume, because I've always heard pedestrians have the right of way.
Right.
But they're stepping out and in front of cars that are moving.
Yeah.
and they're at the crosswalk or almost through it. And I think that the pedestrians need to know that that's not permission to step out in front of moving vehicles.
Well, the perfect example is in front of Lair. You know, because people do stop and there's so much student traffic
All over.
that you're slow, you have to stop. But those students are still, I mean, they'll just walk out in front of you, they're not even looking. I mean, you're looking at them, and the whole time they go across, they never even look to see if
Yeah.
you're coming.
Well, I think the university has an obligation when they bring kids in, new ones.
And
They need to talk to them about the traffic situation, stepping out in front of cars. No wonder they're getting hit. And over by the CAC, coming from the Suncrest Street, they're making their own crosswalk.
well, and that was what
I
an
think
issue that was
there needs to be
brought
a
up.
barrier.
Well, that
on
was
the
an issue that was
sidewalk.
brought up because they said WVU didn't realize when they put all that parking over there, everyone's gonna cross that, they're not gonna go down to the intersection across. And that is one area, that's the one prime area they're looking right now at, of what are they gonna do? There's not even a crosswalk there.
No,
There isn't anything.
but
there.
they're
So-
making one,
But the
just by
kids are walking,
stepping
yeah.
out.
But that's something we're gonna be looking
And the
at.
professors at the CAC.
Well, that's something, that's
We
what we're all
when
gonna
we
be
were
looking at.
young, when Janice and I, we were close to the same age, and that we had two schools in Westover proper. You know, we have schools now, but they're out. And we had crossing guards.
Yeah.
Coach Lou's dad, what's his, Newbraw,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
kids would cross Holland Avenue to go up on the hill to go home, and they would have to wait, and then I would go out and stop the traffic wall and let the kids go and come back. I mean, I know that's not something that could happen now, but it was very effective. You know?
I was a safety patrol in elementary school.
Oh, yeah, I had the little
Yeah.
badge, safety.
Good days.
It died here.
Joe, we're quiet here. I know we're not as loud as it was down in Charleston. Any,
Well,
yeah.
I was gonna say, I just copied off today, I didn't bring the bills, but I just copied off a few of the numbers that would pertain. And of course, you hit on Senate Bill 275, which will hit both the county and municipalities. It basically just gives the counties the same right the municipalities had to get information, but it also brings the tax on the liquor back within the county limits. It's no longer a mile out. You will only be able to collect inside, so that's, this one just, I'll give this list to you, Tom, after done.
Oh, good.
Or Netta have, and it's authorizing the county assessors to make separate entries on land books. 351 permits ballot commissioners to serve as candidates, and that's basically if you're running for, as a candidate for the Republican or the Democratic Party, you can still serve as ballot commissioners, because the thing was, you're getting harder to find and
Can't
be able to
find
get
anybody.
people. And relating to the authority of the county litter officer, 412, if he's trained in law enforcement, and I don't know how deep that would be in,
Yeah.
he can hand out the tickets and actually have all the authority that the law enforcement officer would have.
You mean,
That's what we need.
For those
Or-
citations.
You know, it doesn't, it
I mean,
actually.
no, this is,
I looked
I
at
mean,
that
this is
today,
an
it
important
didn't,
question. Trespassing.
Guy going through red.
I will tell
red
you,
light.
it did not
Really?
say
We'll have
that
to look
all the
at
way
that.
down to that. So you do
We'll have to look
whatever
at
you wanna
that.
do with it. Wow. That's
What-
412.
Jeremy gets a
What training
badge
is
and a
required?
light.
Same thing as police officer would have. Now, how deep in, I don't know, that's what you'll have to
We'll
check. A lot of that has to be in the rules.
It
Once
is
the
a
law's
retirement
made,
job.
then they'll sit down and write the
Give you a
rules.
gun and a badge.
Yeah.
Just a bad.
425, that removes the sunset dates for members of police officer and fire for the retirement. You'll probably need looking at your people, will probably have that one. Authorizing the county commission to pay election officials, so basically all that is, if you want to pay more than what the state is, it's on your dime. Basically what that's saying. If you can't
Is
get
this,
a,
is this because of a shortcoming?
I would say what brought it on more than anything is counties that can't get people, and if they want to go out and get. This one here, 612, is relating to the sale of municipal property, and all that is just saying you can go on the internet and some other ways that you can do it, that allows you more flexibility. And
Did we touch that, or we, something like that for the city?
but 612 is, And 625 is one that won't affect you guys as much, but it'll affect the counties creating the West Virginia Fire and Rescue Act of 2018. It gave a lot more flexibility to the volunteer fire companies. One of the biggest ones now is that it allows you guys, if you want to go to it, and probably not now that you have the fee, but you can go from $500 to $1,500. And they can take it to municipal court now. If they don't pay, they've got to, I think they got 60 days, and if they don't pay.
This is for the service provided.
Right, yeah, if they don't, and
Okay.
I think the municipalities could use it also. It doesn't limit it, so if you guys want to put that on, I'm sure
Would they
that.
take that to the magistrate court if it's not?
If it's not paid, if they have that accident out there,
So
and
why
you've
they
got 60 days to pay it, and if you don't pay it by 90 days, then the county or the city or whoever, the volunteer fire company,
Yeah, it could go
can take it
wherever
to
it's at.
municipal, to the court and put action. And the person that loses the case has to pay the fees.
Right.
Now,
Now, how encompassing it is this simply just fire service, or is this all service? Or?
well, actually, it's fire and EMS.
Okay.
And also, water rescue was put on part of that. And those in hazmat already had some of it on there, but their limit is not 1,500. It's reasonably what's there, and that's the other thing that comes in. But if you have a water rescue now, you can't collect anything. And we've seen with these floods and stuff going, so this allows those water rescues to try, if, there's a, more than likely it'd have to be somebody that had insurance and stuff is what you'd probably look at. But it does a lot more than that. 625 done a lot more things that's into it, give them everything. It did not raise the fee. It's still 0.55. We weren't able to get anything increased onto that. So it's the first step, and I think there's a lot of good things for the volunteer fire companies.
The other fire, were you able to get that other 50 cents back?
No, that's what I said, we were not able to pick it back up.
Okay.
That was one of them that
They
we
stole
had,
a while ago.
we had to give up two things that was on that to get the bill through. Each house had a thing that they didn't like about the other house, put something on it, and so at the end of the day, you just had
Took them
to,
both out.
you had to take them both out and say, we'll try that again next year. This is the one that we've tried 2 years on, 2654, allows the county commission the ability to dispose of county property and district property, so that's the one he's asking for. It doesn't say 501Cs like we had on before, but if you
Okay.
read it in there, it's a lot more flexible to allow you to get rid of the
These are
property.
community centers, for example, like rural schools, that they wanted to have a, what was it, daycare
Daycare.
center, but they weren't allowed to improve it because they didn't own it, because we still owned it, so now we're able to give it to them for $1.
As well as the insurance
Yeah.
factor. We can't insure
Sure it
a
anymore.
daycare.
Yeah,
But,
yeah, sure.
And for whatever reason, the state law said that if they were going to do it for $1, it had to go to a volunteer fire
Volunteer
company
fire
or an
department.
EMS.
Yeah.
So now
We're back-
it broadens
We're back to
that.
whence it came to the Board of
Yeah.
Education, which
They
they
didn't want it.
And we don't want them,
Yeah,
to be honest with you.
And the other thing that was put in there,
They should be in the community.
Yep.
right.
the other thing under current law, it said that it had to revert back to the county commission. That doesn't, it says now that they have to, if they don't want it back, all they have to do is put in there, if you don't use it, we don't want it back.
Okay.
So
But
who
you have
burns
to-
it become, if that would happen? If you discontinue the use of the building, they walk away, you no longer claim it,
It would
then
be
it
sold
becomes a burden to someone
And they would
else.
put up for sale.
That's
Especially
why I
if it's
say,
in
you
a
have to
municipal.
put that in there, the clause in there, but it does not automatically, the way it does now, it has to come back. And I understand what you're saying, some of it, but it allows that entity to be able to, they can do with it whatever, pass it on, sell it.
Yeah.
But if they don't do anything with it, and they leave it to rot away, then it's a burden for someone,
Yeah,
so.
we're hoping that doesn't happen.
You can open one hand and.
Someone's
the other.
burden can always be a gift in a way. It depends on how you.
We'll
look
give it to you
at
for $1.
And House Bill 2843 permitting Class 3 municipalities to do the TIF. You got that, except the only thing that was in it, that was put in it was to allow that basically if you go to do that TIF, 30 days prior to, when you have your hearings, you have to supply any other taxing entity in the county, you have to supply them the plan, the information. They do not have veto power, but they do, that way you have to supply so you can work together on what goes on. That's the only
What's the
thing.
bill number?
2843,
Well, didn't you say it was
Specifically for
class three?
Bridgeport.
Yes.
just
Well,
3.
these guys are class 2.
No, It's
Oh, we're
Bridgeport,
class-
it's Bridgeport,
Bridgeport.
Bridgeport, Oak Hill,
Gotcha.
okay?
Yeah.
I mean, I think those were the two main players.
Yeah.
weren't
Yeah.
they? Okay,
Okay.
that it was written for.
And like I say, the only thing is nobody has veto power, but you do have to share the information so that everybody can, if they want to make a change, they can ask it be made. And the ones you guys wanted, probably the most interested in, was 4238, authorizing counties and municipalities to establish a joint airport authority, or not authority, it's joint airport safety zone.
Oh, it did pass.
It passed.
Oh, good. I did
Now,
not-
the governor's not signed any of these
Yeah,
yet,
right.
so it's still.
But that's a good, that's, because I didn't know it did pass. I know that was the one.
Yeah, that was another one. That one I think passed a little bit earlier on Saturday night, but
Yeah, because we didn't.
now he mentioned the bike trail. We lost that one. That was 4431. It was too deep. And I don't mean too deep in, it was just two left, and it would took us about 2 to 5 minutes to get it across the line, but we ran out of time. 12 o'clock came, and that was the end of it.
Got there 12.
And the only thing was the problem, we sent it back over to the Senate, and the attorney made a title change in it, and the Senate said, no, you don't need that title change, and that's not just simply how it's written. By law, that bill has to have that short thing saying, this is what's going on in this law, so you don't have to read the whole law. They thought it needed something changed in it, and the Senate said, no, it doesn't. So when it came back to us, we was ready to concur that it didn't need to change. I don't know what that attorney was thinking of, I didn't catch it. And so we needed about 2 minutes, and
Didn't know.
we lost it for a title change. So that was a piece of legislation that we wanted pretty bad, but I guess we'll try her again
I
next
think
time.
next year, yeah.
We're actually going to ask the governor if he does have a special session for anything, because that one was so close to going through. Neither house had any problem with it, that if he decides to have a special
It's totally
thing,
non-offensive.
then
It's totally
then he
non-offensive.
can put
No
that on the
finance.
call.
No finance.
That'll be his call.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So I have in here, I'll give this to you.
Okay, and I'll make sure she gets it.
There was 200, I think it was 261 bills total that was passed this year. I think it was 131 House and 129, whatever it
Yeah.
added to, something in that area.
Kids are in school, the end.
Yeah.
That's all, I mean, we're getting close to time, so I'll let.
And you
pass
changed
our
it,
time.
again, so what was the calendar now?
Our
Thursday?
calendar is, we're gonna go the 4th, 5th, and 6th
Right.
of June, and we're gonna have spring break Thursday and Friday.
And then, okay, which I think is a good idea.
And that's really all.
Gets both holidays.
Dave talked for us.
What,
You talked.
I've said enough.
The city,
Did you want to?
Sure, just a few things while the Hazel reading. The Quayne grant, $4.1 million for the waterfront. We're looking forward to making great improvements there and bringing people.
Such as,
Oh, paddle boards, businesses coming in. I mean, that's
where
ideal.
will
That
businesses go down there?
To the Wharf District?
Oh,
Yeah,
down there,
Yeah,
okay.
down by the,
Well, one
around the
is-
amphitheater, so not immediately on the exact property, but certainly around. So we're hoping that improving this will lead to that kind of improvement down there.
Mark, can I expand?
Yeah,
that
yeah,
a
expand,
little bit?
please.
So I'm working, I'm an architect by training, and so I'm working with the city manager and some other folks to try to clarify our program and document a little bit of what's going on down there. But it does include, at this point, a renovation of that old train station, perhaps with some tenant space in that. There's been discussion of maybe a cafe or something like that, but all that's still being ironed out. And the boat rentals, the majority of this money is going to be spent in the vicinity of the amphitheater. There's also a development on the other side of Walnut, and there's a little bit of funding in this grant to get that work started, but the majority of that work is going to come around next year.
Is there going to be roof over, that was,
That is in the cost estimate, yes,
Okay.
to do a shade canopy over
okay.
a large part of the amphitheater.
And because that was the one question everyone's been asking, I said I didn't know.
Right, so the other things that are prioritized are upgrading the sound and lighting. And especially in such a way that the sound will not be sort of pointed up at the apartment, or the condo buildings up there, but rather pointed down towards the audience.
Yeah, our city manager used to live down there, so.
Yeah. There's also a desire to put kind of market area, covered canopy market area along the top of the bowl, if you will, there, that kind of extends the lines of the existing train station.
Oh, okay.
And again, thinking that could be an art, a sort of art market or a kind of extension of a farmer's market there.
And in relation to that grant, we're also hiring somebody who's going to work with the Met Theater, really oversee the promotional activities of the Met Theater as well as activities down by the waterfront. So we should see a more robust Met Theater as well, I'm hoping.
Maybe you should move the Morgantown Museum to the train station.
Well, that's been studied in the past, and I think, I don't think that's in the conversation right now for this project, but I think the museum itself actually feels like they would need a larger space than this.
I would worry about if the water got up. I mean, I don't know, I
It's
don't
in
know
the
if they're
floodplain.
being here, but I would worry about the flooding.
We've talked about it, I've raised that very question.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're aware of that possibility for sure.
One thing, when you spoke about the farmer's market, there was also a bill passed on the farmer's market this year, who will inspect and that type thing. And I didn't review that today, so I won't be able to tell you a whole lot of details, but there was a bill on the farmer's market that passed. And I think that it gave authority to the Commissioner of Agriculture to do the inspection. So really, I don't think it'll affect you a whole lot.
We also passed incentives for development downtown, giving a bit of relief on B&O taxes to encourage businesses with serious intentions to come downtown and in our wharf district. So we're hoping, and there's a component of that, so that's a 5-year program, and then there's a 2-year component of that related to businesses or development at our borders. If you want to come into Morgantown, there would be some relief for that. We're hoping to putting together an annexation plan that would be helpful. So there's that, and then moving forward with getting our ducks in a row. Speaking of ducks, for annexation coming to the public, coming to the commission, we just want to have a thoroughly researched plan to put forward to make sure we're looking at everything and getting our numbers as right as possible so that we can move forward. But you'll be a tremendous resource to discuss this with.
Yeah,
So.
absolutely, anytime. And like I said, you've got Simonton and Strankler there, they know the ropes.
Yeah,
They know the ropes, but we went through several battles with that, and we learned a lot through that process. And like I said before, the code's not the best in the world, but until something changes, that's all you have. So you got to make it work for you the best you can, and these guys are really important, so, and it's, the one thing I've learned with the county commission, even prior to, Sean wasn't on there before when Bartolo was on there, the big thing is the 7 steps in the code is that you have to show that it's good for the county too, not
Yep.
just for the city, it's good for everybody.
Yeah.
And it really is, I mean, it really is, and some of the developers will look for things, they'll come in if you offer them things, So that's another thing we could talk about another
Okay,
time on
great.
how to do that kind of stuff. But it's you can make it into a win-win. That's what we ended up
Yeah.
doing. So everybody's happy, and it takes a while. Some of the stuff that we've done right now, I'll be 66 in May. I may not realize all the stuff, by the time it's all done, I may be dead and gone, But at least we're leaving a good legacy with that, and it's a positive thing for everybody, for the
Yeah.
county, the cities, anybody that's affected by it. But the real work needs to be done in Charleston, because there's a lot of things you can do with that code to make it more municipal friendly, you know? And that's important. It really is. It takes a lot of the pressure off of these guys. It can be easier, you know? And you're learning that now. You're seeing what's going on with what we have to work with. And it's something we've been aware of for a while, but like I said before, if that's the only tool you got to be able to use it.
Sure. No, we work with what we have, but we have talked to you about potential legislations.
Good luck to you.
Well, thank you. Yeah,
Absolutely,
appreciate
good luck
that.
to you.
Yep, appreciate that. Gentlemen, did I miss anything?
If you want to talk about the elections?
Oh, well, as you know, that's, I assume you know, there's now moving forward with a 4-year option, same April election date. So it was a 4-3 vote on council. We have the 3 members who voted no on that.
All for different reasons, as it turns out.
But we'll see how it goes. Of course, people on council can still change their minds about it.
Could you explain though where you are exactly? Because we couldn't figure it out.
I actually texted you the other day and I was like, I don't even know why he voted no.
Yeah, so what did you, could you
assuming.
just tell us what you actually voted on? Because the newspaper, we couldn't figure it out. So all, I'm asking for general information. What was voted on and where are you now? Just so we know, because we don't understand it.
Okay, so we were presented with a bunch of options.
Okay,
4-3, have a split thing, have some councils
Right.
2 years and then the next 2
Staggered
years.
elections.
staggered.
Have the elections in November with the regular county elections or not. And we were all everybody spoke. and-
Or in May.
Or
Yeah,
May.
May was.
Or May was another option.
Everybody
Okay.
had a different idea.
So, or keep it the same.
So Jenny Celine introduced a motion to have the elections at the same time, but 4 years instead of 2 years. And that was the motion
And
on
no
the
staggered,
floor.
right, no staggered.
No staggered. That was the motion on the floor. There were 4 votes for it and 3 against. Where were the 3
Okay, so
against?
that was the only motion. So
That
that's,
was the motion.
so was that gone through a first reading now? or
No,
is
so that was a committee of the whole.
Oh,
we
so
wanted
that's
to have
to
2
put
readings.
it on.
First
Yes.
reading
We-
and second reading.
That was to ask the city staff to prepare an ordinance that could be read.
And the second reading has to be on within 60 days of a referendum. So that has to be like in September, October for the second reading.
Yeah, there's still lots of time.
Yeah, and he wanted to do it September 18th, and I told him he couldn't do it September 18th. So that's what's on. As for why we voted against it,
That's,
Ron
that's
is.
up to you all. I mean,
Ron
we
put it up
just
on
wanted
Facebook.
general information.
Yeah, that's what it is. That's what we have now.
Okay.
So I think the other issue too,
Yeah.
I think the other issue too that's important to sort of vet out with you guys here today is this issue of the referendum and when it's gonna be held and coordinating that. So you guys have, you've heard.
Until we, I think all 3 of us have agreed, until we get something in writing, and it's to be too premature for us to say anything, but I can tell you what we would do is, if we got it in writing, we would ask you to come before, so we could ask you questions. So that is, I believe I can say that, is that fair, with that?
Yeah, well, I mean,
Yeah, I don't want to cause any problems either way.
we're gonna be brought something in a public meeting, we need to make a decision on it.
Yeah.
Until we officially know what we're gonna be deciding on.
We don't know,
It
yeah, we're
probably
still
would
confused.
Be short-sighted. Again, I'm the only commissioner that lives in the city.
Right.
So, and I'm a resident of Barry's ward. And I've shared my opinion with Mark, I've shared my opinion with Ryan, because I think it could be a win-win-win-win situation if you go on a county schedule, so you get more people come out and vote. That there's data that shows that. I mean, there's data that shows what comes out in May and who, the people that voted in May, who lives in the city. And then you can compare that to your city elections, and you can say, okay, you're gonna get 2/3 more vote. The other part of it is too, is it's save you guys money. Now, I know we're going to 4 years, Ryan said, well, we save 50%. Well, why not save 100%? Because the county agrees that, well, if you wanted to do that and come on our system, there aren't very many cities, most of the cities in this state are moving to county cycle to save money on that. So that seems to be a win-win. Get more people, save money. I'm all for you guys having long terms. We had that conversation at the Children's Hospital thing and said, look, I wouldn't run for a 2-year term. I don't know how this man does it.
No,
I could not
You're always running.
I could not work 1 year and then start running again.
Yeah.
That's a little, so it
Takes 6 months to
would
not
create
miss them.
stability, so
Yeah.
to me, that's a win-win-win, but that wasn't on the table.
The issue with May, I think, was that the students aren't here,
So what,
And there are also faculty that.
and faculty that might not be here.
Absentee vote.
Yeah.
it used,
Well,
it
Well, the
used to
other-
be the students left, the students don't, kids
You
don't
might
care.
be
when-
very surprised how few students even
I'm not
vote,
surprised.
and they're not
Or
registered
leave.
here.
But the faculty would vote and they might not be.
Right. Oh, and I understand that, yeah.
And I guess,
Yeah, I understand.
and the other concerns we hear is that the city election would get lost in kind of a larger conversation nationally, county, et cetera.
Probably in November,
Yeah, well, certainly, yeah.
certainly in November,
Yeah.
so that, but May, you know, but anyhow, that's, again, I'm telling you,
No,
just
no.
my thoughts as a citizen
And
of
appreciate it,
Morgantown.
yeah, appreciate it.
And I'm always, you know, one thing that I've learned coming to county commission, you're always looking for ways where you can work together and try to create, and that just seems to be, you know, a rare instance where you can have a lot of good things happen and fulfill everybody's needs.
Not everybody would agree with that, because I know that most of our voting bloc in the city of Westover are the older people. And they feel, the people that I've talked to, and I've talked to a lot of them about it, because I have to go every 2 years, council goes every 4 years, and we stagger that. But I have to be elected every 2 years, and re-elected every 2 years, and I understand that process, and I can appreciate that process, because if you get somebody in there that doesn't know how to do the job, because let's face it, an election's a popularity contest. It don't matter if you know what you're doing or not. If you get enough votes, you're going to be sitting in that seat. So you can get a dud in there for 2 years or 4 years, and you're going to regret every day of it. So I understand that, and I can appreciate that. But
Talking
a
about
lot
me,
of
I'm
the people
sitting
that we deal with,
Talking about me and I'm sitting here.
yeah, sorry about that. But a lot of people don't want to lose that identity. And part of me agrees with it, and part of me doesn't, because I know it, because we've talked about going to the, getting on, you know, in the same election when the state does theirs and the county does theirs and whatever, because you would, the numbers should support that. You'll get more people to come out and vote. But then a lot of people don't want to do that.
Yeah, well, and our charter is a very thoughtful document, and so I think proceeding cautiously with any kind of change is warranted.
Well, absolutely.
For sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, if there's nothing else, guys,
Thank you for hosting.
I'm glad I got to meet you.